one of the kind of themes has been around kind of the role of government, as kind of Walter kind of nailed it most directly, in terms of what does government need to do to enable both small ventures and larger companies to really make their sustainability agenda work. So if I could ask kind of you all to respond to that, if there was one change that you could make, whether it's just get rid of all the middle-level bureaucrats and have them walk, I mean, whatever it is, but something that's doable, something that could be done in a state or in a city or at the federal level or at the global level, what would it be beyond what Walter suggested in terms of the three basic missions of government in this arena that would particularly help accelerate the scale of major innovations in sustainability? So, yes, I figured you'd be first.
Policy and law. I just wanted to add, you made me think of something. In dealing with any government, U.S. government, developing country, with my lawyer hat on, always protect your IP, intellectual property, and be sure that the language doesn't dilute your equity interests too much in the bargain. I would think one of the things that can be done is take the program management, the program implementation out of DC and put it in the state capitals. The state capitals are a lot closer to the field and to the troops out there working on these issues. And I would think if the governor's offices, the state energy programs, had more authority over the federal funds, that would be helpful. I have to go to Washington, D.C. for a lot of clients to take advantage of the federal programs. It's a pain in the neck. I'd much rather go to Albany, Beacon Hill.
All right, Walter.
I'll make a different point, an additional point from what I made before. Every municipal government, every state government, and the federal government are all large customers of all of the clean tech innovative companies out there, potential customers. So if a governmental agency, entity, or state government simply adopted a simple rule that said, when you're a customer buying products, you're required to buy the most environmentally sustainable technology available at a competitive cost, so that all those who were vendors to the government were required to show the environmental impacts and that their products were environmentally more friendly than other products. It would have an enormous impact. Our methane to electricity company has a potential application of landfills. You do a little research, you discover, guess who the largest owner of landfills is in the United States? It's the Department of Defense. So if the Department of Defense decided that we're going to start generating electricity at all of our landfills, that little company would be $1 billion company. So it's the same with almost every company. Our company that makes electric motors, if the state of New York or the state of Massachusetts said, we're going to retrofit all the motors in our buildings so that they consume 80% less electricity, our motor would fit that. They'd be buying thousands and thousands of motors. That would be worth a lot to that company. And you can go down and list. So I think government needs to look at its own purchasing policies. The impact it can have as a customer is completely transformational.
Any comment, Jennifer?
Caught in the middle here again. Actually, I like both of your answers, and I see that as well. The government has a huge number of buildings, and they are the worst offender in energy efficiency. They're still using the least efficient technology. If they were to, but then we have the regulations coming along. where they're setting the regulations that essentially will eliminate the technology that they're using. So that's a good thing. But my ask, I guess, would be to say that government officials and government employees should walk a mile in our shoes. I spent 10 years with the government, 5 years federal government, 5 years with the state government. And what I learned in 3 months in private industry was amazing. I was with Energy Star, for example, with the federal government, and they did say at one point, executive order, that all all computers had to be Energy Star qualified at one point, and that was a major transformation. So in some instances, they do follow their own practices, but they go a little too far, where they haven't walked a mile in our shoes. So while they're setting their regulations and setting their policies, oh, you should be able to do this, or this is the ultimate goal, and then they're very prescriptive in how they tell us to reach that goal. The goals are unrealistic, and they don't believe the industry in guiding those policies. So, as I said, they're doing some good things, and then they're getting in their own way of real progress on innovation. So I would say walk a mile in our shoes, and you'll see a different world.
Also walk the talk.
Exactly, and also walk the talk.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the audience? Go ahead. Break up shortly.
Actually, what I'd like to do is suggest we take a long, hard look at Walter's chart and show the return on investment. Since the money the government is spending is essentially my money and your money, I would have them invest in the highest return on investment, and that happens to be insulation, according to the chart. So if the government spent a ton of money making sure that we insulated the government buildings, commercial buildings, and the residential buildings, it's not very sexy. It's not very exciting. It's not very new product oriented, but it's the best return on investment. And I'll just give you one small example. In Florida, the state of Florida, if you look at the most building standards, you built the walls, you insulated the walls, you insulated the ceiling. And then you put your air conditioning equipment in the hot attic that gets to be about 150 degrees, and you chill that air to chill your house. Simply by making the change to insulate the attic, as opposed to just insulating the ceiling, the energy savings are enormous, to the point where the government of Florida and the electric utility is helping with the house. But I just get back to that chart Walter put, very compelling chart, that said solar's interesting, but insulation's worth money.
I missed one thing in the reaction about the government, and that is greening of taxes, the way they've got to collect the money. If they collect it in a slightly more efficient way, isn't that a much better way than actually spending government budgets, which, because the regulations are hard to direct anyway, and it has an immediate effect. We have seen it already in many other places. You impose a tax and take it away at the same time, and it's linked to things.
Well, the tax system in the Netherlands is actually more efficient than the U.S.
We're
tax
working
system.
hard on greening, it's hard. Yeah, I found out something about that since I came over.
Yeah.